Welcome back. In this video, we are going to cover the glider drawing, which is going to be our final step for the glider project. So we're going to start a new standard IDW. If you haven't watched my tutorial on Inventor Drawings, please do that before you watch this video and complete this work. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly in regards to the material that I already covered in those videos. So our first step is to edit our sheet, and we're going to change that to a B-size sheet. And then we're going to delete our title block and insert ANSI A. So if we look at our PDF, the very first page is our exploded view with a parts list. And so we're going to go ahead and bring that in. If your parts aren't shaded in color, it's not that big of a deal. We're going to go base. And then since our IPN is open, it defaulted to that. So I'm going to change my scale to 1, and we're going to take a look at that preview. That looks pretty good because that'll leave us room for our balloons and our parts list up over here. So we're going to make this shaded. It's probably going to be all gray, which is okay. Again, if you don't have parts, that's not a big deal, but we're going to change our display style to shaded. And we're going to hit OK. Now we need to put in balloons and our table. So we're going to go annotate, and we're going to add balloons. Now you can auto balloon, but like a lot of things in Inventor, auto balloon sounds great in theory. In practice, not so much. So what we want to do is we just want to go ahead and balloon this ourselves, and that lets us control the location. Put the balloons on edges where they're not going to tangle with anything else. You don't want your leaders going through your part. We need to change our bill of material or BOM view to parts only. And we're going to hit OK. It says BOM view is disabled in the reference assembly. This BOM view must be enabled to proceed. Yes, I want to enable it. And now I can see my left wing is part number 4. Now if your part numbers don't match mine, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it at all, okay? As long as you have individual part numbers for each balloon. So we're going to draw this tail in. Unfortunately, IDW doesn't allow us to have this snap to horizontal. So as a good practice, take your time and make sure that that's horizontal. Right-click, continue. And then we're going to go through and just add the rest of our balloons. By that same, repeating that same process of selecting where the point of the arrow is going to go and drawing a nice little horizontal tail there. And the same thing off our fuselage. And then off of the wing. Now this might cause us a problem, and it did, which is okay. It's not a big deal. We need to go back in and change this so it has its own part number. And the reason that it doesn't have its own part number is because in the part, this was the second part that we made. In the part, when you go to File, iProperties, it assigns all kind of values. Your date created, when it was last modified, when it was last opened, size, where it's located, what version of Inventor. We go to summary, and then we can see the author. These are all properties that would go into an IDW. And then here we see project. Now this is the left wing, but the part number is right wing. We need to change this. And when we change that, it's not going to have 2 of the same part number in there. So they do have different file names, but they don't have different part numbers. So we're going to OK that, return back to our assembly, and if we go back to our glider IDW, we now see that this is not 4, it's 5 now. And that's what we want. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So last thing we need to do here is put in a parts list. So we're going to go ahead and select our view, which is what it's prompting us for. And so this select document auto-filled. And then we're just going to hit OK, and we're going to place that up here out of the way. And if we look at our example, we see item, quantity, part number, and file name. So we need item, quantity, part number, no description, but we need file name. So how do we change that? Well, first we're going to do is we're going to shrink our columns up a little bit, kind of like Excel. We're going to grab the column line and just drag it over, kind of make it fit, make it look nice. Now we're going to double click our table. We're going to go to up here is column chooser. And so we can see all of our columns, item, quantity, part number, description. And we're going to go ahead and pick column chooser, pick description, which we do not want, go between our two boxes and remove. And that's just going to repopulate it into this list. And we want file name, so we're going to scroll down, find file name, add, OK, OK, and now our part has updated. Now we're going to grab this column line and stretch it over a little bit so that we've got it looking good. So that's going to do it for our first sheet. And then what we want to do, we want to come in and right click down in the white space and make a new sheet. If you remember, down here in the PDF, it says sheet 5 of 5 or 1 of 5 or 2 of 5. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that by adding our other sheets in. I'm not going to go through all of the sheets with you, but our second sheet is of the assembly. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to place a base view of the assembly. Click isometric or our house button here. And then we're going to change this to 1. And that looks a little small, so we'll go 1.5. That looks pretty good. We could probably make it a little bit bigger, but let's just roll with that. And then that's done. We can double click our view and change our style to shaded. Again, if it's all gray, I don't care. That's fine by me. Right click, new sheet. Whoops, new sheet. Now I'm working on sheet 3 of 3. And so I scroll down and I see my fuselage. Now, I'm not going to cover a whole lot on this because you should be clear on making the different views and dimensioning and labeling. Again, if you're not, go back and look at my IDW videos. But the detail view is something new, so I'm going to cover that really briefly. So we're going to go base view. We're going to go to our little folder button. We're going to find our fuselage. We're going to place it. And we're going to go to an ISO view. And we're going to put that in with a scale of 1.5. Place that, and then we're going to place a new base view of our fuselage. We're going to flip it, and this is what we really want to see here. So let's change this to full scale, and it looks, by the looks of it, we could make that a little bit bigger. It goes from here all the way over to this divider line here, this indicator line. So we can stretch this over a little bit or scale it up. Let's make this 1.5 also. And just kind of eyeball it. It doesn't really matter what scale it is. So like I said, I want to cover with you the detail view. So what we're going to do is select detail view, and it wants to say, or it wants us to select a view down here. So we're going to pick our front view, and then we're going to work from top to bottom, left to right. So we're going to go with a rectangular fence shape, and this is a center point rectangle. And so we're going to draw this in. And now it wants us to place our view, and we know that's going to come down here. So now there's our detail view, just like we have in our PDF. So we can dimension this now, along with our other dimensions that we need, view labels, etc. Here we have a wing with a section view. And I did cover section views in previous videos, but for this one, I'm going to go ahead and place it. So we're going to right click new sheet. We're going to put a base view in of our, let's pick our left wing. And that's going to be a, what do we need here? A front view, a top view, 2 side views. So we're going to go front view. Let's pick a scale of 2 for that. And we'll maybe make this 1.5. And we'll place that. We'll go top view, side view. Again, if you do the other wing or if yours is oriented differently, that doesn't matter to me. We're going to put an ISO view in here and hit OK. So again, view labels, dimensions, all that fun stuff. I'll leave you to do that, but I want to cover section views. So I'm going to do a section view of my top view, and it wants the endpoints of my section line, which is where it's going to cut. I'm going to draw a vertical line through the entire wing. Make sure it goes all the way through the whole thing. Right-click Continue, and we're going to place it here. Now, this is not rotated correctly. We want this rotated like this. So we're going to pick our view. We're going to break alignment, and then we're going to right-click, rotate, and it wants to know what edge we want, horizontal or vertical. So if we stay with horizontal and we pick this vertical line, it's going to flip it, hit OK, and then we can move this. View label comes with it, and then we can finish up that drawing. So your last page is going to be the tail and stabilizer, simple 3 views with ISOs and dimensions and labels. So you're going to turn into me an IDW that should have 5 sheets on it. Please do not turn in 5 individual IDWs. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next video.